my dad found out. I think something just kind of broke inside that. He wasn't angry. He didn't yell. He just didn't look at me when he said, I need to leave. I need to leave for a while. And he left the country for a few months. And Mom said, why didn't you tell me first? Why didn't you tell all those people and not come to me? I don't know. Why didn't I tell her first? And yet she's the only one who stayed by me after all this time. Even after Mawr pretended like he didn't know me anymore. Even after I ran away from home. Even after I hurt myself, miscarried, and bled for days. Even after all these fake people had their fun talking about me and my family. Even after I took off my cover-up of piety. And you know what? If Mawr ever comes back to me with his piety and says he wants to marry me, I'm going to tell him, I don't need your sorry ass anymore. All you self-righteous guys, you're so full of shit! I feel like I'm dying, and I can't even stand. Like there's no place for me but hell. Why would God ever forgive me? It's hell in here. You know, it's amazing how our bodies can feel so old in just a few years. You think my son does that to you?
So maybe you haven't met those other people, but surely you've definitely come across the INS Homeland Security Citizen Enforcer. Like the two guys who yelled out of their car windows as I passed by, "Go back to where you're from," and "Hey, we're in America!" Or perhaps you've come across, especially being at these liberal arts colleges, the cultural anthropologist. I was walking to the parking lot one day when I noticed there was a shadow behind me and gave a closer by second. I turned around to see this guy, and he finally nervously broached the question. "So, I've noticed most girls wear black, but you're wearing blue and purple. Why?" Cues of tribal interstitial pinches? Sacrificial ritualistic positioning within your in-groups? Artifacts of a cultural paradigmic shift? Really? Why purple? I was sitting by the lake with my two friends, just eating my Subway sandwich, enjoying the day, when this woman approached us. She said, "I am an independent reverend, a true believer. Don't you trust those men of religion?" As she adjusted her black top hat and her black shawl. "They're all killers and devils. Imams, rabbis, priests, the whole lot of them." And then, glancing over at the young Hijabi and the young Muslim man sitting next to me, "Don't they care about tradition? Especially her. Those jeans are so tight and provocative. You should tell her not to wear them."
Men are a genius. When it comes to hitting on women, any women, they are pretty creative and really repetitive. But they catch you off guard. Sometimes. I mean, you always think that the single Muslim guy whose greatest cause is preventing gender mixing wants to get married. Fast. Especially if he gives off the holy vibe. Like, God excites me, not women. This guy never ever talks to you, and then bam, he likes you enough to marry you. Sometimes he's in love with you. It's like you were made for each other since time immemorial. How does he know? You make eye contact. He'll appear out of nowhere and say, "Hi, I know we've never met or anything, but you have to know, we're soulmates and I would die if I could be with you. I'd like to meet your parents." You generally keep your distance from this guy and his mother. And you harbor a cautious suspicion about those married uncle types who say, "My, yeah, you have such beautiful eyes." And he complains about his wife and kids when you're 1/3 his age. He says, "I'm not the type of man who would just use a woman and then leave her after one night." But he thinks he's got game. Or that this woman is an idiot. And then there's the campus community activist. You know, the one who's involved in all of the youth groups and is on the board of the Muslim Students Association every year. He tells his parents that MSA has created so many opportunities for him. And his greatest cause is breaking down those barriers of gender segregation. He says, "Come on, sisters, we need more female participation." Oh, but not all of it at once, just to a few at a time. Oh, and don't worry about the lack of participation from the brothers. I will be there to supervise them all. Yeah. And then there's the Mactivist. Oh, you know, the Mactivist. The one who prefaces all of his introductions with, "So I just finished reading the autobiography of Malcolm X." And then proceeds with, "Man, I was so busy last weekend. I mean, there was the pro-Palestinian rally, and the animals are our friends, not food thing, and make love, not war festival." After enumerating all of his causes and casually dismissing the girl who insists, "Of course I remember me being totally trying to drink at the belly dancing shisha bar last weekend." He insists, or he slips in, "So I'm going to pick you up next weekend for the belly dance, excuse me, for the Human Rights Film Festival." Because clearly his list of credentials maps on its own. And then there's the guy who insists on holding open doors, the one who recites the poetry of Rumi and Hafiz, and writes better than Pablo Neruda. When a group of Victoria's Secrets models passes by, he doesn't notice, because he's too busy helping an elderly woman cross the street. He's finished guitar for a group of children. In between reading about women's history and creating a project for the upliftment of single mothers, he contemplates God. He thinks about his relationship with God. This man cooks.
she loves them. Oh wait, I haven't met this guy. You're just describing your friend Mawr. But you never ever think that the white non-Muslim guy at work or in class is hitting on you. Especially after you convince yourself that most of these men think of you as an entirely asexual being. Being covered in all day, constantly stimulated by much more enticing bodies. Unless he has like a thing for exotic women or has this weird ethnic fetish thing. So you think he's harmless. You let your guard down. When he says, "So what are you working on? Oh, how interesting. I'd love to hear more about your research." Or, "So don't you think it's unfair that in Islam you can't marry a non-Muslim man?" Or, "When is there going to be a Muslim Protestant Reformation?" Or, "Hey, can I have your number? Here's mine." You think he means your colleague when he has a flat tire? Wants to use your library privileges? Or is interested in your friend Jessica? Or is another FBI informant? And then, just when you think you've met them all, you get the guy who is like everybody's sister. You know, the one who says, "Sister." Think of me as your sister. He invites you to hang out, but you casually blow him off. You think, he's a sister, he wouldn't mind. But then you hear on the grapevine that the guy thinks that you don't want to hang out with him because he has different religious beliefs. You feel guilty, so the next time you see him, you say, "Hey, weren't we gonna like hang out at some point or something?" The guy says, "Yeah, let's get some coffee." You say, "Okay, we can do that." The guy says, "Or how about this Italian restaurant?" You say, "Let's just go to the cafe down the street. It's easier." The guy says, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure." So you meet. He buys you coffee. Then he says, "I really love to talk about religion. Let's talk about religion." You say, "Okay, we can talk about religion." Then he says, "We should meet once a week." Jesus, I'm so freaking busy. Once a week? Oh, yeah, I'm busy too. Hey, do you like group prayer? I'm a fan of group prayer. I think it's really great. Yeah, I think group prayer is pretty cool. I think it's really powerful. Then the guy says, "I'd really like to get to know you. Are you comfortable meeting me sometime?" You say, "That's nice." And then it hits you. After you freaking told him, "I'm so freaking chill, dude. I think we need to find a new sister for our sister."
My son's wedding feast. Ever since my son came back from college, I began dreaming of getting him married. It was my first. Every mother knows what it's like when your kids get to that age. You want to see them settle down, have your grandchildren. I told him when he came back, "I want to look for a nice girl for you. What do you think?" He told me, "It's a waste of time, Mom. I don't have a job. I don't even know what I'm doing with my life." He thought he had nothing to offer. My son. My brother and his new wife came to visit for a few days. The night before they left, I took him and my younger kids to see an old friend suffering from cancer. The doctor said he didn't have much time left. I told my son, "We're going to visit your Jubair uncle. I've left dinner on the table. Don't go out without eating." By the next morning, he was still not back. I thought, "Oh, Lord, what am I going to tell my new sister? 'Sister-in-law, what is she going to think? Why did he have to do this today?' But I thought, 'Oh, Lord, what am I going to tell my new sister-in-law? What is she going to think? Why did he have to do this today?' But I thought, 'Oh, Lord, what am I going to tell my new sister-in-law? What is she going to think? kids all woke up late and missed their bus. My son was still not back, and I couldn't focus. Somehow, I yelled at everyone and told them to get in the car. I don't know what came over me, but my son's still not back after being out all night. The kids late for school, I had to drop them off. My brother and his new wife getting ready to leave. La ilaha illallah. I couldn't focus on the road. Somehow, I came back home, dropped the kids off, and couldn't focus. La ilaha illallah. Around 10 a.m., I came home, and my heart stopped. There was a police car parked in front of my door, and you know what was my first thought? My son. Oh my God, did he hurt someone? Is he in jail? What are they doing here? La ilaha illallah. I jumped out of the car. When I knocked on the door, my brother answered it, but before he let me in, he held me and said, Abba, whatever happens, whatever they tell you, pray 2 rakats. You must accept it. You have to be patient. Steph, let me inside. Where's my son? I walked in to see my niece, my sister-in-law, and 2 police officers sitting in my living room. My husband was still at work. They asked me to have a seat. I would not. Ma'am, are you Shafi's mother? Yes, I'm his mother. Where is he? Did he hurt someone? They looked at each other. They were so kind, soft-spoken, very well-trained. Ma'am, your son is in the hospital. He's in the hospital. They were waiting for one of the parents to come back before they said anything. The elder one said, is he all right? They looked at me with such soft eyes. No, ma'am. I'm sorry. He didn't make it. He didn't make it. I prayed 2 rakats. I don't remember that entire month very well. It was a month that the lychee tree branches hung heavy with fruit for the first and last time. My daughter says there were many, many guests. Hundreds. Not a day went by when the whole house was not overflowing with guests. Not a day went by when there was not a feast. There was the moment when she came back, home after her father's friends had picked her up from work. Where's my mother? She thought something had happened to me. No one had the heart to tell her, but 100 eyes looked at her as she looked for me. And when she came to the women's room, she saw me, the mother of her brothers and sisters, sitting in a room surrounded by women, sitting quietly. Mom, it must have been strange. She said I smiled at her and said, today is such a great day. Mom, didn't you hear the good news? Mom, today is your brother's wedding day. I don't remember that entire month very well. By the end, all the lychee fruit was gone. Don't ever let any guest leave without having eaten. I have always told my children, that day I told them, God himself has laid out the feast for your brother's wedding. At some point, a young woman with short blonde hair walked in and asked me with the mother of the house. She passed through the men's room and came to the women's room. Her eyes filled with tears. She held me. I know, sweetheart. I know what it's like. I lost my son too. We're sisters, you know. I don't remember who came in. I was told there were hundreds and hundreds of guests. So many went to the mosque and there was so much food. bit went to the mosque with the men. I was told that no one left without having eaten. You know how a bird quickly swoops to pick food off the ground? My son was like that. No sooner was he on the ground than the birds quickly plucked him up. And yet, no one has seen a wedding feast like this one.
Hijab protectors. Sometimes, when I think of how we perpetuate injustices because of the injustices we have experienced, I wonder how life narratives shape our perceptions concerning the world and its quirks. And sometimes, I wonder about the people we love entirely without entirely knowing them because of those we have met in our past who have shown us small and great kindnesses. I was in 12th grade, sitting in my world religions and philosophy class when the high school star debater and goofy kid extraordinaire made a comment about the prettiness of my white silk hijab and flower-printed dress. He thought it ironically funny to juxtapose his appreciation of modest elegance with a catcall. Ow, ow! That comment led to a discussion about religious beliefs, which led to a discussion about Islam and dating and arranged marriages, which led to a discussion about my wishes not to be touched by a guy unrelated to me unless I was falling off a cliff. Or needed something less drastic but life-saving like CPR or and somehow, that discussion led James, the tall, short, brown-haired, anti-establishment kid sitting in a nearby desk, to come to the conclusion that he would, from that moment forth, be my hijab protector. He vowed to deflect the males who would attempt to approach me within a 30 feet radius. To tell the truth, after I laughed, imagine a tall white kid wearing a cape with a big HP on it, trying to intimidate the evil males of the world. I was flattered. Later that week, as I was crossing the courtyard on the way to class, my friend Logan ran across the grass like a madman and suddenly gave me a bear hug and noogie. Sahar looks like strawberry sherbet! I was wearing a peach-ish colored Moroccan jilbab, the type with a hoodie. Mom bought it for me during the previous summer in Mecca. The store owner, who managed to give a name to every jilbab I touched, told Mom it was the springy time for Sahar jilbab, as opposed to the King Abdulaziz jilbab. And the I want to marry you jilbab. I managed to avoid wearing it until Mom found it in the back of my closet and promised I did not look like a peach in it. Totally not expecting Logan's reaction, I froze, sort of embarrassed, thinking, what the hell is going on? I don't know what look I had on my face, but Logan's best buddy RJ, a fellow water polo teammate and punk rock band member, who did not smoke, sniff, drink, had a crush on the same Asian girl, and also dreamt of med school and Berkeley, looked at me and then looked at Logan and said, Logan, I don't think you're supposed to do that. What? You're not supposed to touch her. Huh? Oh no! Oh, sad man! Is that true? You can't let me know about these things. I was worried. Yeah, I mean, I'm not offended or anything, but yeah, I would appreciate it if you don't jump on me and stuff. Dude, you gotta say something. You're too nice. Don't be shy about telling me what's what. As he spoke, he put his arm around my shoulders in charm-like fashion. I would never be offended by you. Ever-perceptive RJ again came to the rescue. Logan! Oh! He jumped and removed his hand. Dude, you're too nice. Punch me or something. I'm so sorry. And again, he patted my shoulder. RJ gave Logan a look. Oh! He jumped and removed his hand. Jesus! I'm so sorry, dude. By this time, I was laughing because of his sincere repentance, concern, and simultaneous clumsiness. Listen, Sahar, from now on, fear no more. I'll be your hijab protector, guarding you from the advances of the male population. I thought for a second at the familiar conclusion we came to. But, Logan, I believe you will have to talk this out with James. He has already claimed that role. James? That fool? He doesn't have what it takes. I am the true hijab protector. So I thought, okay, I won't bust anyone's bubble. Let them fight it out during lunchtime. I also thought, silly boys. Like they won't really take this seriously until one day. I was walking to AP Calc 2 with my friend Amanda, a cute brunette soccer player aspiring to become an engineer and keep kosher, when Tito, a member of the National Honor Society, tapped my shoulder. He pleaded with me as NHS recording secretary to have mercy and accept his hours, although the deadline for turning in service hours already passed. I told him not to worry, his hours would be accepted, and Tito happily skipped away, knowing he would get to wear the coat for service on graduation day. Later that day, after AP literature class, I walked out to find a ring of 4 students waiting outside with James and Logan. So I said, hey guys. What's up? What are you all doing here? In a very, we are the hijab protectors. Who touched you? I had no idea what they were referring to. What are you talking about? Who touched you? Amanda told us, do you want us to break his fingers? Now, to understand the humor in this scene, please imagine a ring of slightly nerdy guys of different heights. Some with funny-looking glasses, one Colombian, the only guy I know with a speedometer painted on his dashboard in whiteout, and all with huge book bags filled with AP literature, AP European history, AP biology textbooks. What are you talking about? Amanda reported to us that some guy tapped you on the shoulder, man. Oh, that. By this time, I realized they were talking about Tito, your kid. Oh, yeah. Listen, it's no problem. It's really not necessary that you beat him up. Really? We can cover his eyes up so he doesn't know who's hitting him. No, really, I'm sure. Let him go this time. But thanks for offering. Maybe next time? You sure? We could just threaten him. No, I'm positive. And that was the end of that. And I will never forget them as a fitting gift when I had just lost an older brother. When I stood out because of how I dressed, played and ate. When how one looked often determined whether the cool kids drawn into their full circle or make one's life a recent hell. I will never forget when one underclassman thought he was slick for mocking me, and I was able to calmly looked at him, eyebrows raised, smiling, because I was confident that at least one person from the group of friends with whom I was playing hacky sack would kick a hacky sack in his face.